Hello and welcome to the Insider Beat, your premier source for Titan views on Fullerton News. I'm your host, Gunnar Texera. I'm here outside Dan Black Hall to witness the Transit of Mercury, a celestial event that happens only a few times a century. And I'm here to get the inside scoop on this out-of-this-world experience. Let's get started. I'm here with one of the fellow astronomy interns to let us know what all this event is happening. So explain to us what the Transit of Mercury is.
So today we're here to see Mercury pass in front of the sun. So a transit is whenever a planet passes in front of a star and kind of blocks out the light. You'll see a little spot as it moves across the star, in this case the sun.
And then does this only happen with Mercury, or does this also happen with the other planets as well?
Yes, this can happen with other planets. They'll happen at different frequencies and different times depending on how the planet's orbit works and whether or not we can see it from our point of view. That's actually why this happens kind of infrequently with Mercury. It won't happen again until 2032 due to Mercury's orbit and Earth's orbit and the way they kind of interact.
And then how early can you guys plan out when these are happening, or how scheduled these are going to occur?
Schedule? I mean, you can probably calculate these pretty far in advance. I mean, you just need to know how the planets orbit, our planet, and whatever planet you're looking at, and you could figure out when these events would happen.
All right, what's been the best part about TAing for this astronomy class?
The best part? Well, I just like astronomy in general, so I like it when some students are a bit more curious about the subject instead of just, taking the class just to take the class. Sometimes they'll actually ask questions, get more in depth, and I always appreciate that. I always like it when that happens because I get to explain things a bit more detailed to the more curious about the subject.
Well, I love the chance to talk about astronomy. It's definitely one of my favorite subjects. I love that I have students that are really curious. Like, for example, several of my students have shown up this morning, probably for the extra credit, but I'm sure also perhaps because they're curious to see what's going on. And I'm hoping these clouds go away so I can actually get a view too, because I was really looking forward to seeing that today.
What brought you out here today?
So I'm really excited to see this astronomical event. Apparently it's not happening until like 2032 again. So I was really excited to see the sun if it comes out. So
Great.
Yeah.
What got you so into astronomy?
Actually, so I'm a physics major, and one of my professors, my advisor, he teaches astronomy, and so his excitement kind of rubbed off on me, and I'm really excited because of that. So yeah.
And then what's been your most exciting part? What's been the most fun thing you guys have done being TAs?
It'd probably have to be some of the labs are a bit more hands-on than other labs. So we do a lab on light spectra and also on telescopes in general, and those are some of my more favorite labs to do. They're always a bit more exciting to teach those. They're more fun and hands-on.
I think my favorite experiment that I've worked with my students so far has been our telescope lab. We actually did it last week. They got to learn a little bit about how the optics of lenses work and then build their own telescope and explore that themselves. It's actually, for a telescope made of cardboard tubes and plastic lenses, pretty good.
Anything else you want to add about the event or astronomy?
I was really excited to see the turnout today, and I think that this is good for the physics department and everything to make people excited about physics and astronomy and everything going on in the universe. So,
all right, thanks, Tara.
thank you.
Hi, I'm Shobit Bari. I'm a staff physicist. I take care of the astronomy program here.
All right, great. All right, walk us through what all these different telescopes do and how do they work?
All right, let me start with the basic one here. Okay, this is the simplest of the telescope. You can see here. It has like a lens and few mirrors inside. So this is it simply projects the image of the sun. So right now, weather is not in our favor. Okay, if the weather was in our favor, you would see a little disk of the sun, and you would see a little dot that would be the Mercury passing across, okay, moving across. So it takes manual alignment, okay, and then it shifts a lot because of our rotation of the Earth. Okay, so you have to be aligning this every few seconds. Okay.
All right, and then now what is the advancements between this kind of telescope and these ones? And
Okay. Let me start with this one. Okay, so this is simply a regular telescope. We call this Cassie-Smith grain. Like there are different, when Galileo, when he first built his telescope, he used lenses. So when Newton built his telescope, he used mirrors. Yeah. So concave mirror. So this is a little bit of advancement to that. We call it Smith-Cassie grain telescope. Telescopes are, whenever we ask students, what does a telescope do? Oh, it magnifies objects. That's one of their purposes, but the main purpose of the telescope is to gather light. So during the daylight, sun, it gathers so much light. Like if you don't want to look at the sun using this telescope because it will blind you instantaneously because of so much light collection. So that's why we need to block the amount of light. That's why we are using this visible light filters. It blocks 99.999% of the light coming from the sun, so it just takes in about 0.001%. If everything was visible right now, you would see a disk of the sun, you would see a little disk of Mercury moving across. Okay, and then this is one of my favorite because you get to see the different features of the sun. You see the prominence, you see the plage, like the bright areas. Plage in French means the beach, so you would see those regions. There are a lot of things happening on the surface of the sun. So if you want to do a look at in many different spectrums, NASA has like NASA, and there are other labs. They have different types of telescope that looks at different wavelengths of the sun as well, like X-rays and UVs and so on.
What's your favorite part about this event, or what makes this one like? Is this one of your favorite type of celestial events, or what is your favorite type?
I get excited for most of the rare Earth events because how often do you get to see that, right?
Yeah.
So this is not going to happen. Next one is not going to happen until 2032. So that, and the last one that happened in 2016, that was May 9, 2016. We did set up in the Arboretum. However, we had the similar conditions.
Really?
So we only saw for a few minutes, I think, and after that there was an overcast. 2012. So that one was the transit of Venus. So we saw the Venus, disks of Venus crossing across the sun. So that was an important event because next one is not going to happen 2012, so it's about like 7 years. So that one is not going to happen for another 100 years. So if you missed it, you missed it for your lifetime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So does a transit happen to every planet, or just Mercury and Venus and Earth, or?
From our perspective, we are in Earth, so innermost planets are Mercury and Venus, so that's happened. So if you are standing on the surface of Mars, like let's say if we get to Mars at some point in life, so from Mars, if you were there at the right time, you would be able to see the transit of Earth, Venus, and Mercury. So this is one of the ways to detect extrasolar planets. Okay, so there's one telescope called Kepler mission. Okay, so this space-based telescope is looking at. So this looks at they call it the transit photometry. So it looks at the brightness of the star. So there are points where the brightness goes down, and there are other telescopes around the world to verify that. So when the brightness goes down, that means there are transits happening. So it's looking at for a set amount of time that there's a frequency of the transit, right? So now you can detect other planets depending on how the brightness of the star gets lowered. Because during the transit, it's going across. It's definitely like the amount of light coming from that particular star is going to decrease. So that's how we are able to detect extrasolar planets. So that's in the process of being that you have to study several times and make sure that's there. So that's what's happening. So.
It's really exciting. You're really great, man. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir. All right, if you happen to miss the transit of Mercury today, the next one is in 2032, so mark your calendars. That's all the time we have here for the Insider Beat, your premier source for Titan views on Fullerton News. And I'm your host, Gunnar Tech Sarah. We'll see y'all real soon.